something I love so much. I love to share knowledge. I love to meet people and discuss film, especially when we discuss film in a very intellectual level. I love it. So being here, it was a privilege when I was contacted to speak here. I just opted and agreed that I'm going to speak here because this is what I love to do. I've been working with Cinema Pata Pata for a long time, and I've worked with a lot of small budget films, so I understand independent filmmaking a lot because of what makes an independent film is the fact that it is a film that is made outside of the big studio studios that we have in Nigeria. I think that most of the big studios we have in Nigeria are, because they are big, their projects are usually like high budget movies. So as such, they dominate the industry, and smaller companies cannot compete with them in terms of the scale of project or the amount of money to spend in a project. So because Sinakwatakwata is also a very small company, I mean, we started it from Jos. We had worked in Kaduna, we've shot some stuff in Jos, and we are now in Lagos, and we're trying to do even at that, we still go back to Jos to make films and stuff like that. It's establishment, a cinema company established by Kenneth Gang and Yinka Edward. If you know Yinka Edward, is one of the best cinematographers we have in Nigeria. And Kenneth Gang has gone on to make Oloture and some of the Blood Sisters and some of the big projects that we see today. And if not because he was a successful independent filmmaker, he wouldn't have crossed over to make big budget films like the one he's making today. So independent filmmaking is a very good avenue for people to start off their career with. I would like to share my screen so we could actually like go through a document. Yeah, that's, you can just tell me or chat me anytime when I'm 30 minutes in, sorry, so that I can stay within the time. All right. All right. So I think you. Yes. What you can see it, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. So this is like a table of content I just made. We're going to understand what independent filmmaking is. We understand the process, the roles of the director, producer, and writers, which are always intertwined in independent filmmaking, and we look at budget and film fundraising for independent filmmakers. So let's understand what filmmaking is. Like I said earlier, an independent film is a film that is made outside of the big studio, right? I think that when you look at some of the big studios we have in Nigeria, we talk about Film One is like the number one that's been here for a long time. I think it's the biggest and probably the longest. Not biggest because it's not only big, it's like a conglomerate, even with what's it called, Ebony Life. Because Film One has, you know, he has a cinema to exhibit their work on, and they produce their own work as well. So it's a production company and exhibition company, and also a marketing and distribution company. I mean, even independent filmmakers make their film and come to Film One for marketing and distribution. And even if you want to take your film to Netflix, which because we're in the streaming era, it has become very, very important for you to, because at one point, only Film One was an aggregator, like only Film One can take your film to the streaming platform. But I think that there are more aggregators right now in Nigeria, so you can follow other channels if they are able to help you take your film to the streaming platform, whether Netflix or Amazon Prime. So these are big studios. So, but if you look at Nigerian film industry, you know that most of the films we make, right? How many films have Film One made? If you look at it, how many films have Ebony Life made? Ink Blood, for example. These are big studios. They have money to spend. they can put 200 million on a film to produce a film, right? Funke Akindele can put in a lot of money to make a film. I mean, Edith recently spent like 1 billion in making one film, $1 million, for example, $1 million to make the Black Book, right? So these are big studios, and when you are not making film, if you are from a very small company, for example, it becomes very, very difficult for you to compete with those guys, right? Because they have more money for marketing, they have more money for distribution, they have more money for production, more money for pre-production, development, and all of that stuff. But as an independent filmmaker, you don't have that kind of money, and such you are in a disadvantaged position because when you compete with them, you might not be able to catch up, right? So any film, if you have a small production company, you are an independent filmmaker. And most times you make money, you don't have, most time independent filmmakers cannot even access funds to make their films. So they have to follow labs and all of that, apply for grants, take loans, make the money, the film from their personal money and all of that stuff. So it's a bit of a challenge, right? So independent filmmakers are I don't want to say stubborn, but you have to have that doggedness to be a independent filmmaker in Nigeria because like you're competing with all these big companies and with a lot of money and a lot of equipment and a lot of influence in the industry and so on and so forth. So you are disadvantaged, so to say. Now, independent films are typically produced by filmmakers who work outside of the studio system. They are not financed or supported by big studios or television network. I've explained that already. And those independent filmmaking has its own advantages and its lack of disadvantages as well. We're going to look at it briefly. Now, when you look at, I just said, okay, let me just show you some of these whole Hollywood studios. These are the big studios. For example, Warner Bros. Almost everybody knows Warner Bros. Except if you don't like film and if you don't take notes of them when you watch films. Walt Disney Pictures, Paramount Pictures, 20th Century Fox Studio, Universal Studios, Columbia Pictures. These are big studios. They're the biggest studios in the United States, in Hollywood. Then there are smaller industries. If you watch films, you would see Castle Rock Entertainment. I think they did. There are films, if you are watching them, you see that they are the ones that did it. We have Dimension films. These are just a few. We have A24, we have New Line Cinema, Miramax. Miramax was very famous because it has helped a lot of independent filmmakers by buying their films. You know, you make your film outside the big studio, they get it and push it for you. I think Quentin Tarantino and all of these big guys in the industry followed that path with Miramax, and they were able to emerge as very good filmmakers and popular at the same time. Then we have like Trista Pictures as well. These are just a few. Like there are lots and lots of other companies, smaller companies, but I just like to pick like maybe these are the most popular, and these are some of the smaller studios that I've seen that are making film in America. Then we go to so for example, this film El Mariachi, it was made in 1992. It was made by Robert Rodriguez. It's called El Mariachi, and it was made by a budget of $7,000. Even in 1992, it has quite a tiny budget, right? He was the screenwriter, he was the director, he was the producer, he was a cinematographer, and the editor of the film at the same time, right? These guys are like, they are very good in because they know they have all these skills. They can take a very giant project and make it by themselves. A giant project, you see them making it, but it's made by a few individuals, right? So Robert Rodriguez made that film called El Mariachi. It became very successful. I don't know how much it made at the time. I think it made about $14 million or something from the big box office. And he went on to make, okay, the film made like $7 million, and he launched Rodrigo's career in the movie industry, because he went on to do Desperados. He went on to do Once Upon a Time in Mexico City, and so on. So he became a very, very big filmmaker after making this film, because he came from a background. He's from Texas, but he's Mexican. So he would go to Mexico and make his film there because it's cheaper to make there, and so on and so forth. Then you come back to find distribution in the US, right? So his production company was called Los, it actually Los Hooligans Production. I had a typo there. I think I'll correct it later. He went on to make Desperados and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I said it, right? So that is the resilience that independent filmmakers have. Like with a small budget, they make that film. And he, for example, I remember reading somewhere that he was going to he would shoot for maybe a week, and when he doesn't have the finance, he shut down production and he goes on to look for money elsewhere. And then he will make look for money, and how he gets the money is he was offering himself as for a clinical experiment somewhere, so they take his blood or something, and he would go and get the money, go back and shoot for another 1 week. If the money is finished, he go back, and until he brought out this film, and the film is a masterpiece. Okay, so somebody's talking. I don't know. All right. So let's look at some of the biggest studios we have in Nollywood, for example. Film One, like I said, Film One Entertainment is one of the biggest film studios. Evan Life Studios, Ant Hill, Griot Studio, Funke Akindele Network, Fan, Inkblood, Golden Effect Pictures. These are some of the biggest studios that we have in Nigeria, and they spend a lot of money to make films. They can put in millions of naira, but some of these smaller films, some of these smaller studios, I think that almost every filmmaker register his company. He establish a company, register a company, but most of them are not even physical, because there's no office. You can't go to a space and say, okay, this is their office and stuff like that, you get, because they don't have the money to actually run an office like some of these big studios that they have an office, is big establishment and so on and so forth, right? So they understand the business aspect of making films, right? Now when you look at these smaller studios I mentioned here, I just try to just get certain names that are small, but at the same time a bit famous. Like Nemsia, for example, is owned by Bibi Sazori, and he did this what's it called, Breath of Life, which just became very successful. And if you look at it, I don't know if I should say it's still a small studio, but I don't see it as one of the biggest, because those other guys are operating on a different level. Yeah, but yeah, Breath of Life was a commercial success, no doubt. It during the sorry, is it Afrif, or yeah, it won it was the closing film, and it won like $300,000 or something like that from there. Cinema Pata Pata is where he started from. It's also a small studio. Yeah, we produce some films. Yeah, but then we are not as big, and we cannot compete with these guys, right? Mainframe Studio is owned by Tunde Kelani. We know that Mainframe Films and TV production is owned by Tunde Kelani. He has done quite a number of films under that production company. I mean, Anila is one of the biggest film I've seen. Like, it's very beautiful and all of that stuff. It has traveled all over the world because of how beautiful the film is. And Fiery Film Company, example for is made it's owned by Sijo Basi. Sijo Basi has made fame for being one of the directors that took us to Sundance and won something at Sundance with Mami Water, right? And it is a very good a film. He's a good filmmaker, but at the same time, his studio is not as big as the studio system, right? All right. So I'm sure you know quite a number of smaller studios that could not compete with these ones, and probably there are big studios that I've not been able to mention here. You can feel free and just like add some of them, right? Now, in 2013, Kenneth Gang released Confusion Hour, right? And he released it Pata Pata, right? And the film went on to win AMA Awards for Best Director and Best Film. The film got funding from Hubert Bowles outside this country. That was how he got the funding. The script, and then he went on to write. He went on to like apply for grants and all of that stuff, and he got that grant. I don't know how much the money was, but it wasn't a lot of money. I don't doubt if it is like up to $5,000 at the time, but he was able to make that film. And I remember working on that film. And in that film, we're shooting that film where it's a very small crew, right? That's how independent film workers, makers work. Very small crew. A lot of people are multitasking. I remember I was doing, I was the clapper bodies at the same time the continuity. So clapper bodies is usually from the camera department, right? Camera assistant too, right? They clap the board. And I was the continuity at the same time, which is from a different department. I would work with the directors and the actors and stuff like that. So we're doing a lot of multi-track taxing because we don't have enough money to employ a lot of people. Kenneth was not having the funding he got, didn't give him the enough money. And I was just out of secondary school at the time, and I was following him around and like that. So I took the struggle. I was right in it, and even the post production took a lot of time to finish. There were times we had to go back and do a reshoot because something happened with some rushes somewhere, and so on and so forth. It's a lot of process that was, of course, you are short of funds, right? So now this is Confusion Hour. Like it's done with a small budget, but it won something. When you look at the other film, Wedding Party, on the right, on my left, right, you would see that a Wedding Party was shot with a budget of 60 million naira, right? Now, Kenneth Gang, but 3 years after we have Wedding Party shot by Kemi Adetiba, it was made by Kemi Adetiba, directed by Kemi Adetiba, but it was done for AAAIFF Studios, and the budget was 60 million naira. That is a lot of money for people who are uh, from the independent side of making films, right? For you to make, for an independent filmmaker to raise like 50 million to make is a huge, that's like a huge amount of money. So because independent filmmakers, right? Some will try to employ your friends and whatever family and stuff like that to, how to make that, to make film, right? When you study guerrilla filmmaking, you will discover guerrilla filmmaking is also an independent filmmaking. It's another word for independent filmmaking. Is that budget is micro and they sit down and they work. There's multitasking. They try to make the film as fast as they can. And try to make the film however it takes, right? Now, Kenneth Young, because sorry, I'm distracted. I don't know unless I seen something. Okay, thank you. All right. So Kenneth, from the successes of Confusion Hour, he was able to move on with his career, and today he's a commercial filmmaker. He's shooting film for the studio that made Wedding Party. So that's just tell you that independent filmmakers like Nigeria is made up of a lot of independent filmmakers, right? Young people want to make film, and they want to tell stories that are very different from the stories that are told by big cinemas studio, for example. So that's why I brought this two films, just put them together side by side, right? Now, the studio system want to tell they want to make entertaining stories. They want to make stories that are entertaining. Everyone, like for example, would they don't hardly shoot ghetto in their films. They about people of the high class of society. They want to display very beautiful locations, very beautiful uh, cars and all of that stuff. Their cast is usually A-list cast, you know, the most popular actors, the most popular guys who are working in the industry, even the crew are part of the film making process. But however, uh, Kenneth Young made his film without that sort of support, without that, because Ransom Noah is in the film, but Ransom Noah was not in the film because he was paid to make the film. He read the script. Kenneth called him, sent him an email, sent him the script. He watched the film, he loved the script and said, I'm going to do it for free. Right? So he was able to get Ransom Noah for free. The only thing he did is to accommodate Ransom Noah, fly Ransom Noah from Lagos, because we shot it in KD, not in Jos. We shot it in KD, but he made his film, and but Ransom Noah was there. Then there's Alinu, who is also popular in Kannywood, not Hollywood, right? O.C. Okeja was not as big as he is now, right? He was at that time, he was just out of is it the Malta Guinness, whatever that he won at the time, in acting. So he was fresh, yeah, but he was not as big as he is now, and he didn't collect the fee he was supposed to collect to make the film, right? So when you look at the poster, you see like a bunch of very unpopular people. Only Ramsey and Usi and probably Alinu, if you're from the north, you know Alinu, that are popular, right? But every other person, Tunde Aladeshe is here. She was head of writer for Tinsel before she left to Germany. But most of the people you could see are not very popular. But I can see this guy here. But even the most popular guys were not paid adequately. Like they didn't receive the money they're supposed to be paid for them to be on that film, right? And it just shows you that, okay, but however, the film came out very well. And the locations are usually, the story is about regular Nigerians on the street, people you just meet on the street, not some people who are very highly placed in society, where their houses are very, they don't, there's no display of riches or anything like that, right? Because those locations are easier to get. So it's very easy for filmmakers to just say, let's tell this kind of stories. Because when you go to look, for example, you're shooting in Lagos, you go to get a location in Lekki or in Victoria Island, the kind of money they will tell you for shooting for 2 days, if they want to rent that place for you for 2 days, can be a lot of money, right? So these are two films, successful films. One was made with a very small budget. The other one was made by an independent filmmaker, small budget. The other one is made by a big company, big budget, but their successes are different. It launched the director to become a commercial director. Without the success of this film, the director wouldn't have been recognized, and big studio company will not hire him to do films for them, right? So as independent filmmakers, you have to prove yourself as an independent filmmaker to be able to work on commercial big budget films for studios. So Kenneth, so I'm just trying to say that because somebody asked a question, I think Everett, right? She started the question by saying that, is it important for independent filmmakers to go into film festival? Yes, I want to make this, while we're here, I just want to make it clear that without going into film festival, Kenneth Young wouldn't have won Best Director at AMA, and his film wouldn't have won Best Film at AMA at the same time, launching him and making him popular as a film director. That with this small budget, I can do this. What if you give me more? I can do more if you give me more, right? So this is just a big lesson. I just thought I should bring this to here so that we can have a conversation around it, right? Now, what makes of film and indie film. Independent films are called indie films, right? So this is the what makes it what are the advantages? Let me say that, right? So in independent filmmakers, the film director has a greater creative control over the film, right? In studio system, it's a bit difficult when you're a director because there are stakeholders. They have a wide array of stakeholders, right? And so when you're making the film, there might be creative differences. They are making a film as a product because studio organizations are not run by people who actually know how to make films, but understand the business of film, right? Mo Abudu might not be able to make films, right? But she understands the business of making films. She understands the business aspect of film. So when you go to make a film in a studio, you are restricted by a lot of issues around producers, right? Producers they're careful about the kind of freedom they give a director. So when a director wants to do something with the film, creative things with the film, they can tell you, no, can we keep it simple? You know, because they are targeting an audience and they don't want, I heard someone was saying that they will tell you, like, I don't want you, I don't confuse the audience, keep it simple, like they will say like Nigerian films are that Nigerian audience, film lovers love comedy, but this is not the truth. That's not the truth, right? I mean, with the rise of independent filmmaking and all this recently, you know that Nigerian film audience are looking for something different, right? Funke Akindele is very good with like comedies, right? So our companies dish out comedy all the time, right? Now, when you go to Ebony Life will make films higher, what's it called, for high class people and all of that stuff. They don't want to see uh, poverty in films. They feel like, okay, we're selling poverty to the international world. They want to present Nigeria in a different light. We are not actually poor people. We have big cities and all of that stuff. The idea they want to send to the international community, right? So if you go as a creative person, as a director, it becomes very difficult for you to operate in a studio system, except if you accept, right, to work under the circumstances or under their control have for you, right? So it becomes difficult for some filmmakers to work under the system. However, in indie filmmaking, the creative freedom is enormous. Filmmakers have a lot of creative freedom. The director, you could see a film and you just know the style of the film. You can see a Quentin Tarantino film and you could see his style in it, right? Not every director has a style. When you work for as a commercial filmmaker for studios, like Kayode Kasuma have been working for for big studios since the start of his career, right? He didn't come from an indie aspect like some people like Daniel Oriahi and all of those kind of filmmakers. He started with studios and he has been making big budget films for studio almost all of his career, right? Now, independent filmmakers, indie films you can allow the director to have unique styles. Now you can do films about, if you're an independent filmmaker, you have the freedom to do films about and talk about social issues and some conversations that big studios will avoid because they don't want to come in confrontation with the government. They just want to make their entertaining film, make people feel happy in the cinema and go home, right? Now, independent filmmakers don't do that. They want to get a unique style. They go into aspect of genre of films that people don't uh, big studios avoid, right? Recently, I think since in recent years we've gone into crime, the brotherhood, and all of that stuff, those kind of films, right? Now people are beginning to love it, right? We've done Wedding Party, we've done all these comedies before, and so on and so forth. Now we are moving into an era, and I'm seeing that crime movies are beginning to take they're beginning to be dominate the industry, right? but the style is what holds an independent filmmaker and it allows the filmmaker to actually bring out his own style. Indie filmmaking is really low budget, right? Low budget, low crew, because you don't have, because of that budget constraint is a disadvantage for you, because there are equipment you might not be able to get, there are actors you might not be able to get, and so on and so forth. However, they are very critically acclaimed films, right? Now, when you look at the big studios, the film they make, they don't travel outside of this country as much as independent filmmakers will travel, right? Kenneth Confucian now travel all over the US. University buy the film, put it in their libraries for film students to watch it and see how African films are made. They will make people, what's it called? They would invite Kenneth to go there and speak to them. It's the same thing with CJ Obasi. CJ Obasi's film is Mami Wata. He's traveling all over the world with that film because it's critically acclaimed. It's about the artistic nature of the film rather than the commercial aspect of the film. So it's gave him a lot of a lot in terms of how they talk about him outside. But CJ Obasi have never worked for a big company. If he was making Mami Water for a big company, I assure you that that film wouldn't have been black and white. The studio company would have argued that you make it colored. But because he is his film, probably the writer, the producer, the director, somewhere in I don't know what's happening. Are we going to end in 1 minute? Sorry.
Yeah, we'll rejoin again.
All right. Thank you. All right. So independent filmmakers, indie films are very critically acclaimed all over the world. Quentin Tarantino would go to the film festival in the world. Films, and they're very because films independent films travel further than studio films. I think it's one thing that we have to make to know, right? Even some of the big budget films that we had in Nigeria, and they're very successful financially. I mean, Funke Akindele had made Tribe of Judah, the Tribe Called Judah recently, and that film was a commercial success. I mean, it made over $1 billion naira, sorry, in the what's it called, in the cinemas, right? So, but however, it has not been able to travel, right? But it's a beautiful film. You could see it and have fun because, like I said, cinema wants to give you big studios want to give you entertainment, right? Indie filmmakers want to go into issues that are very complex, society issues that are
recording in progress.
So it's a low budget film. Yeah, I said it, right? Now, independent films are also having new talents, right? We discover new talents in independent films. For example, Daniel Orehi made his film Taxi Driver, traveled all over the world as well. CJ Obashi is making films also. Michael Omonua, all of those guys that established the Solar System Film Collective, their films travel all over the world, but they don't get financial success as much, right? They don't get financial success as much, and they don't they are not, in fact, in some places, they don't actually get, they don't become very popular, except if you are a cinephile, like some of us, all of us that are here know that we are cinephiles, we love film and so
But that's the power of storytelling, and that's so much
so talent discovery is one aspect that independent filmmaking is very good at, right? Filmmakers, directors, film actors, crew members showcase their skill and build portfolio on independent filmmaking. Except you have a portfolio, they might not be able to. No. You see, the Growth Studio owned by Jade, for example, will never call you to direct a film for her, except if you've proven yourself that you're a film director. And how do you do that independently, right? So all these small budget films and so on. Film One will not call you as a film director to come and direct their film, except you've proven yourself. You must have done something and so on. So independent film is a venue or a ground where people actually build their career and become successful, right? And independent films are also for niche audience. That means some of the films you see independent filmmakers make are not for mainstream. Some of the issues, some of the condition, right? It's not for you to go to cinema and see it. People don't. It's for niche audience. If you want to watch, if you watch films like Mami Water, you discover that it's a different kind of film. Imagine making a film that is black and white as an African Nigerian, and somebody, normal people would go there and say they don't like the film. It's too slow. Some of them will tell you the film is too slow. I remember somebody telling me that Angela is too slow for him. He could not watch it because why? He's used to studio films that are basically action-driven, drama-driven, and so on and so forth. So it's a bit. So independent films are not for. They are basically for niche audience. If you like horror films, you might not be able to. Studio companies might not do horror film like that, but there are independent companies that are very good. There is the director is very good with horror films and will be able to direct horror film, right? And they will do it and exhibit it in film festivals and so on and so forth. But you would never see some kind of films on the cinemas, right? We're in the streaming era right now, and it gives you the ability to send your film to streaming platforms if you are unable to go to the cinema, right? Now, the disadvantages, right? Low budget is a disadvantage, even though it can be an advantage, because people who make independent film, because of low budget, you become very good at planning, very good pre-production wise. Independent filmmakers put a lot of energy and a lot of work in pre-production because they don't have the money to come and do a reshoot. They don't have the money to destroy stuff. So they have to like sit down and plan. What if it rains today? What are we going to do? We have to shoot this scene, whether it's raining or not. What if this happened? What if that happened? They ask all of that questions. There is high level planning because they don't have the money, they don't have the luxury of money, and they don't have time, right? So low budget is a constraint. You might not be able to compete when even equipment that you're using are very, very limited, right? Marketing and distribution. That's another place because in Nigeria, even in Nigeria, when you make a film, you put a lot of money in distribution. Distribution is one aspect. You have to spend a lot of money. It's in millions, 50 million. You see one film making, you're saying, okay, I'm putting aside 70 million for marketing and distribution just to make you see you're working these electronic billboards, you see them playing the adverts of this film. It's a lot of money. You go on buses, you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing posters of that film because they're trying to make people see the film, and they've taken over social media as well. People are pushing their film. Finke Akindele will make skits for you to, in order for you to go and see her film when it comes out, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of energy they put in marketing and distribution because studio company make film as a business. While independent filmmakers might not see that business aspect, it's about creativity and it's about the artistic money to actually put energy in marketing and distribution. As such, all their energy goes to festivals, right? You want to distribute, you have to go and win. You have to go to film festival and try to see if you're able to win an award in a film festival or anything or screening or whatever. If you're selected, so if just pure selection will get certain distribution companies to be interested in your film and they'll call for you and say, okay, we want to distribute your film. Mami Water won at Sundance, and I remember how many films, how many distribution company were on that film. They want to be the distributors of that film, and I think he signed a contract with about 5 of those companies as distributors. Right? Without it, probably he might not have been able to distribute it because I knew that after he won it, he came to Nigeria. I think the film came into cinemas in Nigeria, and he pulled the film after like a month out of cinema because he felt like they were not giving him prime time. Like his film was not, when you have a film and they put the film at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the night, that's the viewing time. You feel like you're not being favored. You don't want it because you want your film to be at prime time. Films that are in the evening, weekends, because people are out weekends trying to hang out. Lovers are outside, they want to go hang out, they want to go and see a film. These are the time that every filmmaker wants to have in the cinema, right? But you cannot compete with big studios. Film One will not give you that time. Except, I don't know, if maybe if you have a very good deal with them, you might be able to have that time. But Film One, for example, will not be able to give you that premium time, right? Because almost every film wants to be at that time. Tribe called Judah too were giving premium time because it's funny. People want, and Funke Akindele has done a lot in marketing and distribution. If you have a small film, your film that you did, it probably I think that the budget of that film was, I don't know how much is the budget of that film, but it should be around 100 or more million naira, right? So that kind of films, if you come with your small budget films, 20 million, 50 million, you might not be able to deal with it, right? Because those people are out to make profit. You also have to make profit as an independent filmmaker as well, yeah? But then they have put so much money in marketing and distribution that you might not be able to compete with them. Now, industry marginalization. Like independent filmmakers feel they are marginalized. As an independent filmmaker, you might find it very, very difficult to compete, like I said. So you feel marginalized because you are by the side, right? The mainstream guys are the ones that run the whole industry, right? And there's also profit uncertainties because when you make a film, you don't know if you're going to get your money back, if you're going to make profit. And the way the Nigerian studio system works, if you make 100 million in cinemas in Nigeria, what goes to the filmmakers? What 33 million or something like that, because your percentage is 33 point something percent. That's what you get, right? So the profit is there's so much uncertainty, right? But however, cinemas are usually like the first point where you want to say, okay, if I finish my film, that's where I will take my film to the cinemas. After that, then the streaming platforms, then you go to, I think television is really the last pile of for distribution, like, right? So there are chains of distribution. People have to, like, filmmakers would follow from this. Now, Trap would go to a streaming like platform after making money in the cinemas. You still sell it to streaming platform and so on and so forth, right? All right. Now, now when it comes to budgeting, budget is like the financial backbone of cinemas. It is no matter how, whether big or small film, whether studio or independent film, there must be a budget. It affects almost every aspect of production. From pre-production, it affects pre-production, principal photography, post-production, marketing and distribution. Yeah. So independent filmmakers struggle with funds, and so having that to deal with budgeting, yeah, budgets are very, very tight, right? It varies, yeah. So while you're budgeting your film, and another a studio company is looking at your budget, it's not even a budget because they can't even work with that kind. Pre-production, you're writing scripts. During pre-production, you write scripts. And here I want to say that if you really want to make your film, even though you're an independent filmmaker, you should follow financiers or producers who, on the moment they see the script and it's not formatted properly, they don't want to have anything to do with the film. And there are softwares in which you write scripts, right? Industry is segmented. When you go to the north, when you go to Kano, their scripts are not professionally written, right? So they can write their script with Microsoft rather than Final Draft or Caltex or Writer Duet or Fading, right? These are softwares that we use in writing script. However, it's the same thing when you go to Asaba, right? You go to the East. All respect to them, they started this industry. I have so much respect for them for starting this industry and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the writing script, some of them just you see a few pages of, and it's a script, right? They just describe what happens in the scene, each scene, and the script is ready to shoot. So the actors are left to improvise, to ad lib and say whatever they want to say, but there's a guideline of what they are supposed to discuss in the scene, and they just do it, right? Professionally, script writers write every dialogue an actor is supposed to say, right? And that is where you get the depth of the kind of story you want to talk about, right? Because every line you write as a script writer should have some meaning. It should push the story forward. So it's very when you allow actors to just do whatever they want and say whatever they want, you might lose the grip probably of the story that you want to tell. All right. So independent filmmakers are very, very particular about writing their writing scripts, right? And it's very advisable you write it with professional software where anywhere you take it to, even somebody abroad who you can send it to confidently because the script is well formatted. From the first page, you see the script, you know that it's beautifully formatted according to industry standard everywhere in the world, anywhere in the world, right? So I think it's something that we need to look at, right? Now, casting. All right, during pre-production, you have to cast, you have to get actors. And like I said, independent filmmakers don't have access to A-list actors. They use actors that are not very popular, but very talented as well. Because their budget cannot accommodate A-list actors. If you want to hire, for example, some of the A-list actors we have, if you want to hire R&D, for example, he has a fee, right? It's a lot of money, right? If you want to hire Sharon Oja, for example, she has become an A-list actor, it's a lot of money, right? However, independent filmmakers would take films, would take equally very talented, right? your example, listen out Pata Pata and their film Confusion out before. Not very popular actors, but yeah, the film when yeah. But even though they have Ramsey in it, yeah, Ramsey did it for free. OC did it for cheap, right? So it's a bit it's a bit difficult for independent filmmakers to get A-list actors. So what they do is that they use audition. They try to get good actors that will convey exactly what they're looking for in the film to make it stronger, right? For example, I used this film for Maria. For Maria is done by an independent filmmaker, right? Small budget. The location is not huge. They didn't go on confined over space, right? Not very lengthy. It's about 100, or is about 1 hour, 15, 1 hour, 20 minutes thereabout, right? But they make that film very beautifully. And the lead character, right? They got Meg Otama. Meg is a very good actor, but she's not English, right? She's not the star celebrity, not up there with the celebrities, right? She lives a very quiet life. You can hardly see her making noise or anything like that. She's quiet. But she's super talented, right? Now, and they made that film with a few casts, few location. They used black magic to shoot their film, and the film came out properly and became a success, right? So you go for but unknown actors who are looking for opportunity and yeah actors. Now in filmmakers, independent filmmakers find it very difficult. It's a space where you don't have a lot of time. In film, time is money, right? If your production you have to accommodate actors, you have to feed actors, you have to accommodate your crew for that extra day that you have lagged behind. So it's a very big issue when it comes to production. So principal production, they have shorter time, is strict, right? Come do their business and get out as quickly as they can. However, it is not often the case, like in the case of El Mariachi that I showed you earlier, right? He would shoot for a week and go back and look for money, shut down production, go back and look for money, come back at the same time. However, there are big productions. There are makers who make films high budget also suffered a lot of problems. International areas, a lot of films were techniques that are not very conventional in the industry. For example, you don't have equipment. Some of them don't have equipment, certain equipments. You might not be able to have a mini jeep. For example, you want to have this shot with a mini jeep, but you don't have a mini jeep. So what you do is to improvise. Some of them would climb on trees in order to take a shot from a tree instead of using a crane. Some of them would climb a tree and use a gimbal to give you that movement and so on and so forth. They use very unconventional. They just find a way because of their poverty with equipment. They would use ingenious ways of shooting a film with an equipment that, like if you don't have a dolly, for example, how are you going to shoot a dolly movement? Right? That's when you see filmmakers trying to look for something that has tires to just push the cameraman on it in order to just have that shot and give it that dolly-like movement, because it's very important to the story they want to tell, and so on and so forth, right? The locations are usually fewer and less extravagant, right? You don't when you get a location, you have to fill the location with the production design, have to design it according to the color palette of the film and so on and so forth. But if you don't have the luxury of going to a location and repainting it because of the color palette and stocking it with set design and everything that you need, it becomes a bit difficult because you don't have money. So what they do is they use very few locations, and the locations, even if they get it, or equipment that they don't have, they try to find ways of making it work, even if they don't have it. So it's a bit difficult during production, right? It's a bit difficult. Like post-production, they are very resourceful during post-production. Most independent filmmakers don't go for films. They don't write their films that are with a lot of VFX and special effects are very expensive to make, right? Especially in this era where we use computer generated images. You see, if you make a film and you don't using applications that are not very good in VFX, and as such, it looks fake. So it doesn't look as good. It doesn't look very good as when you have money to do special effects and VFX or whatever, right? Editing, sound design, color grading are sometimes carried out by the filmmakers by themselves. Like I said, Robert Rodriguez, he was the cinematographer, he was the writer, he was the director, he was the music composer, he was the editor, and so on, alone, doing all of that thing with people around him that he could hire, or his friends that are willing to help him, right? And it's the same thing with Spike Lee. Spike Lee made Do the Right Thing, Jungle Fever, and all of that stories. And I remember watching him say that he acted in his film. He would write the script, he would edit it himself, he's directed by himself, and he would be the cinematographer by himself if the case, if he could not hire a cinematographer, because why? You don't have the money to hire them, right? Now, marketing and distribution, like I said before, they have very meager budget, unlike studios films. So they rely on Sasha, right? He will direct it, he will produce it. Even Breath of Life, Breath of Life, he wrote that script, he directed it, right? So most of them, their scripts come from them, right? Kunle Afolayan also started as an independent filmmaker as well. Tunde Kelani, all of them, but they have grown to become, their studios have grown to become big studios because of their consistency and their successes as filmmakers. So, right? So they do multitasking, right? So sometimes you see Kunle Afolayan will do set designing, he will do directing, he will write his script by himself, and so on and so forth, right? Uh, but that's how filmmakers multitask. Independent filmmakers will do a lot of multitasking. Independent filmmakers, in independent film, this role are taken by probably one person, like I said, right? Uh, in instances where the producer or editor is not the director has enormous creative control on the project, right? Unlike in the studio system. So even if I'm not the director of even if I'm not the cinematographer or the editor or the producer, the independent filmmaking gives the director a lot of creative control. I think that Lukman, there's this director called Lukman Ali. Some years ago, he left a project in Nigeria because they had creative differences with the producers. He could not do the job. They could not agree on certain things he wanted to do, and the producers are telling him, "No, don't do that." Right? This is how we want the film. Right? So because when you make a film for a studio, almost every producer has an input. The executive producer watches the film and he writes notes and say, "Change this, do this, do this, do this." The producers also do that. Maybe there are three executive producers. Everybody gives you notes. And as a director, you are like, this is my vision. And they're like, no, we want to sell the film, we want to make money out of this film. It's not about creativity, it's about making a good film. Right? So it's that's how it works. Right? Because there are a lot of, like I said, multitasking, right? Independent filmmakers, you do the AD by so forth, right? Now, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. We're just going to talk about financing independent films, which is a bit of a problem for a lot of people. It's very difficult. Raising money to make films is very difficult, especially anywhere in the world, not even in Nigeria. It's very difficult for you to raise money to make films. You must get people that trust you to give you the money, or you can use your personal money to make to get budget to make the film. But it is very difficult. Now, grants, yeah. So I don't know, financing a film or an independent film, when you have a vision of what you want to do, you must get somebody who believes in you to give you that money, right? Sometimes you might not have anybody to help you with money to make the film, but there are grants outside this country and within this country. For example, recently I had grants for young filmmakers to make film. I think they give them like $5,000 each to make a film. I don't know how much. I can't remember how much. To win the grants, right? Confusion now as well was made by that because they applied for a film lab, they were able to get money from Hubert Balls. Now, apart from that, another way, I think that Netflix gave a couple of years ago, is 20. Netflix and UNESCO give 5 Africans, I think, because Korode Aziz was able to get one. She did a film called Halita's Choice. And she got like $25,000 to make that film. It's a short film, and I remember they shot in Jos as well, and so on. It's how you can actually you can be on the loop and keep googling and looking for opportunities. There are grants here and there that you can get. It's not going to be a lot of money, but I think it's something that you can use and start off your career. Sometimes you have to use your personal finance, right? A lot of people bring money from their pocket to make films. They start from there before they become big. if you're unable to get that kind of money, right? This is very risky, right? It's very risky, yeah. But then if you're putting your money in a film, you make sure that the film succeed, because when you look at it and say, this is my life and I'm carrying the whole of the money I've saved to put in the film, right? However, once the production is successful, you look back and be grateful that you actually took that decision. Now loans, yeah, loans. I beginning to put money into films. I think that corporate industries are trying their best to come. They're giving people money. Sorry, I'm distracted by this call. Like for example, Access Bank has been they've been the one funding Accelerate for a long time, and I could see that they're doing something very great there. And then the Bank of Industries as well. And that's why I put this film here, Isoken. Isoken was made by Jadel Koshiberu. And long at the time when it came out, I loved it. It's very beautiful, but she made that film from grants, the loan she took from Bank of Industry. And I think that they've improved the loan right now. I think that the loans are becoming bigger, right? Even though there are politics here and there about it, but it's not bad for you to try to get funding for your film. Now there's another one called crowdfunding, right? It's not very common with us to go. We don't even have GoFundMe here. It's something that belongs to developed countries, so we might not be able to crowdfund like them. But I know that there are people who use crowdfunding. Some people will set up GoFundMe to get money, and so on and so forth. But you can take contributions from friends or colleagues, but these are also very high risks, right? A GT raised the money to make Black Book. Black Book came out last year, I think, yeah, and he took it from elite tech guys. Elite tech guys. He took it from there. It was generally a success because it was a big film on Netflix. But he got the money. He didn't. He he made his film is really the film. He always maker for on Danny TV as well. So he was telling us about how he started as a
Hello, Nathaniel.
okay. I think they have a network problem or something. They can't log in. Somebody is asking if you can see the slide for multitasking, and I'm saying yeah, I can actually send. I don't know if I can send I can send the slide to the organizers of this program. They can send it out. I don't know if it's okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll send it here. Yeah, I don't know. Are there questions? Is anybody having a question you want me to attend to?
Yeah, I have a question.
All right, thank you, Don.
Okay.
Okay, hello. My name. I hope you're hearing me. My name is.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
My name is Don, a filmmaker from Kenya. So I was asking.
Yeah.
You may correct me if I'm wrong. You're one of the founders of Cinema Pata Pata. So
Yeah,
I was
I'm
asking.
one of the founders, but yeah, I've been with them for a long time.
Oh, I wanted to ask. So it's an organization based in Nigeria. Is it a production company, or does it also do distribution? And in distribution, in what does it also distribute African films or Nigerian films, to be specific?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Don. Sinakota Patapata is a production company. It doesn't distribute. Like we are last year we did a film called This is Lagos, and we are also looking towards distribution. We've not been able to get distribution yet. We are also in that phase. So This is Lagos. We're supposed to exhibit it in the cinema. It's supposed to come to the cinemas in December last year, but we've not been able. We were not able to do that. So now we are looking towards streaming platforms at the moment. So it's just a production company. We don't distribute. I think the distribution, majorly the biggest distribution companies in Nigeria are usually Film One, yeah. They are the biggest distribution companies. But if you have a relationship, for example, there are people who have a direct relationship with Netflix, right? Normally, when you make your film before it goes to Netflix, you have to meet an aggregator. Film One was an aggregator. So they take your film, you go into a deal with them. There's a percentage of money you can have. They will take from how much you sell the film to Netflix. If the Netflix takes the film and pay you $50,000 or $100,000, there's a certain percentage that goes to them for being aggregators, right? So, but other companies have become aggregators now, and you could see there are filmmakers right now that are beginning to have links with Netflix direct, so they don't go through aggregators anymore. They get the films, probably they know a director or somebody from Netflix, and he takes the film directly from them, right? And they sell the film directly without any without having to deal with aggregators or anything like that, right? So I don't know if you are satisfied. I think that from Kenya, I've actually worked with in Ebony Life Creative Academy. We had a lot of people from Kenya who came and who worked with us. It was very good working with them. I mean, Kenya has like a very good filmmakers as well. Well, Josephine, she was head of art direction. She's a very good production designer. We have somebody called Mark that work as head of edit post production as well. So it's nice having you from Kenya.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for such an effective and insightful lecture. As and was well detailed, I was able to, grab so many things from you.
Thank you, sir.
And then, yes, speaking of that, this is Lagos. I've actually seen the poster. I'm still looking forward to see the movie instead. I've not seen the movie.
What movie? Sorry, sir.
This is Lagos.
Okay, this is Lagos.
I just saw the poster, but I've not seen it.
Yeah. So we're in the distributing phase. So what happened was that this is Lagos. Yeah, okay. Go on.
Okay, I'm Mr. John Omola. Actually, I am a graduate. I graduated from Fuller Flyer Film Production.
Oh, okay, yeah, Cap. Yeah.
Yes, I graduated from CAF. And under the leadership, under the tutorship of Mr. Tunde Kelani, he taught us
Mm-hmm.
some starting points about cinematography.
Yeah.
So he told us, during his lecture, he told us that while you are still starting out in your movie, maybe you are an independent filmmaker, that it is best advisable for you to, maybe if you have the Android phone, that you can start shooting your movies with your
Yeah.
Android phone. Those
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that have
Yeah.
Android phone. So when he was telling us, I was like, because it was an online class. I did
Yeah.
the online class. It was
Yeah.
not a class. That was, do you compare the phone video with that for this high tech camera that these already established production houses
Yeah.
using capturing their motion picture?
Yeah.
And again, secondly,
Mm-hmm.
you talked about post production.
Yeah.
Now you said that as an independent filmmaker, that if it is possible for you to do the editing, the sound design, and the everything by yourself,
Yeah.
color grading. Now,
Mm-hmm.
someone like me, I have no idea. I am not well versatile in all those
Yeah.
editing, sound design, and color grading. I am just a script writer.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
understand? So I don't know how possible as an independent filmmaker for me to, use my hand and edit my videos through the sound design and know what colors
Okay.
to add to the movie.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. Do you have more questions?
No,
Okay. So thank you very much. So let me just take them one after the other. This is Lagos is coming out, but we're still discussing with what's it called, Amazon Prime. But the problem is, the thing is, December when we were going on cinemas, there was a problem because there was a problem because Tribe of Judah was in cinema as well, so the whole place was choked with a lot of films, right? Because December is usually the peak period where everybody's on holiday and the people just want to go out and just watch films. So every filmmaker in Nigeria was targeting December. So at some point in the negotiation, there was a problem. So we had to pull out and hold on for a bit, right? So now, what we want to do next is we want to just go straight to the streaming platform, which is either Netflix or Amazon Prime. These are the biggest, right? And conversations are going on. You get to see it once it comes out. It's going to be loud. I'm sure you get to know. Now, in the issue of saying that Tunde Kelani told you that if you can shoot your film with your phone, you should go ahead and shoot your film with your phone. See, right? As a filmmaker, it's if you wait until I have seen people internationally. In fact, you could Google it and look for films that are shot, international films that were shot by mobile phones. You would see iPhones that we have now. There are films that can shoot with 2K. They can shoot on 2K. You can use your phone and shoot on 2K. There are phones that are beginning. I mean, they are pushing the boundaries of this technology. You're going to shoot on 4K very soon, right? But if you can shoot your film on HD, which is 1080p, you can shoot your film on 1080p. It's fantastic. The picture is not going to be too bad. But your job as a film director is to make your film whatever it takes for you to make your film and take it out there. That is the only way someone will watch this film and say, I want to work with this director. If you don't take your chances because you're waiting for big cameras, you want to and sophisticated camera, you might not be able to make those films. So even internationally, young people tried as much as possible to get the story, right? Some would get the story, they will write the story, try their possible best to get actors without money, so they will get actors that could do it for free. When you come to Lagos, you see that there are young people, everybody wants to be in this industry. There are a lot of actors who just want to be in front of the screen, right? You might not give them a lot of money, but they just want to be. Why? Because if they don't get in front of the screen, nobody would see them to know that they are actors and use them for further projects. So they're always there looking for opportunities, looking for whatever way they can do in order to get it. You can get people like that and actually work with them, right? There are people you can meet. In CAP, you can meet people who have done editing. Try and collaborate. You know, filmmaking is one of the greatest collaborative art form. A painter sit down and paint a picture alone, right? A musician would sing with probably a producer and also the musician and maybe the people that will sing the chorus for him. Very few people, and they bring out a piece of music, right? In film, you go with a lot of crew. There are things you have to collaborate. You have to collaborate with people. So get one. I'm sure there's a friend who had finished with CAP that can actually edit for you, right? I don't know how to edit too. You understand? But I have friends who can help me edit stuff, right? So just don't limit yourself and say that you must do. If you have the skill, do it alone. But if you don't have the skill, look for somebody that you can collaborate with and always try and push your work out there. You never can tell, right? Bibi Sasori recently told me that he saw a boy and he showed us, like, because he came to our school, so he told us that he saw on YouTube a boy from Benin Republic has been doing something and putting on YouTube, and he does a lot of special effects. And Bibi Sosere saw it and invited the boy to come and direct one of his projects because he signed a contract with people, some people that he's looking for directors, and he got the boy to come from Benin Republic. Benin Republic has no industry at all, right? But the boy was working and putting it on YouTube. He was doing lots of, I think the boy's name is Josh Sonu. If you go on YouTube, just look for Josh Sonu, you will see what he does with special effects. He make people fly and all of that stuff, and it looks very real, right? So, but then somebody in one corner of the world will see your work and will contact you. So don't limit yourself with trying to be very good at certain things. Your job as a filmmaker, as a film director, is to develop that skill. Just try and develop the skill, and you develop the skill by doing it and making mistake and doing it again until you know how to do it. I don't know if I answered your question.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Oluwa, this guy you want to say Oluwa what? Oluwa Feromi, right?
Yeah. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, man.
My name is I'm a boy. I'm a guy. Oluwa Feromi.
Okay. Okay, Oluwa Feromi.
Yeah. So I really appreciate your sharing thank you. Of your knowledge. No, this is actually not my first time meeting you. We've met at a film festival that you taught us directing. So I love your.
Thank you. I remember Kingdom Film Festival, I think.
Send me your contact here. I told you I'm a comedy person.
Yeah.
So you very well.
Yeah.
So, number one, concerning what the previous person asked that he graduated from CAP. I also am graduated from CAP, and ever since I graduated from CAP, I've been wanting to collaborate with people in my comedy aspect. I'm an actor as well, so I would love to collaborate with him. If you can share me his contact, so we can start on WhatsApp.
This is fantastic. So this is what I love about platform like this, right? It's virtual, but I can actually collaborate. So if you can drop your contact, or I don't know if the organizers can actually get your contact and actually get it across to him, because you can just collaborate with him and start doing it, right? All right. So I will make sure you exchange contact with from the organizers. Right, you have my number as well, right?
Yes,
yeah. So you can drop your contact with. I can send his contact, or we can exchange it right here now, right?
Okay.
And drop it here. You can drop it so that I can just copy it as well. I think it's very important.
Is there the same community? There's a community for everyone.
Yeah. What are you saying? What did you say?
No, I said they're actually in the same community, so they can still get their numbers from the community.
Yeah. So you can actually get, yes. Thank you very much for putting that. Yeah, but he had dropped, Oluwa Feromi has dropped his number, so please If you're there, just copy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there questions? Are there more questions? There are no questions. I think we're done. I want to appreciate everyone for being here. I really love I had okay. Rhoda, you want to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. My name is Rhoda from Nairobi, Kenya. I wanted to ask about the part of grants. I've come across grants where you kind of like pay like a fee in order to get the grant. So I wanted to ask more about it. I don't know if how risky it is for such grants, and yeah, I wanted to know more about that grant.
Yeah, I think it's very risky for you. If anybody wants to give you money, like I don't think he's supposed to accept the money from you before he gives you another money, right? So I'll just be careful with grants, right? I am very scared of that. I don't want you to put yourself in that kind of situation where you lose money. But all the grants I know, I think that the organizers of this can actually work towards getting I can actually give them links to certain grants, or I can actually research those ones and give it to them so that they can email it or get it across to everybody, whatever it takes. Please.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
don't give money to anybody. Like there are lots of people who are trying to scam other people, and I would not want you to lose your money in the process. I mean, the money you have, you can start something else with it, by trying to shoot your film rather than giving it to someone else in order to get something. Right.
Okay. I have another question. Sorry.
Yeah.
But first, let me say thank you. Yes, you can share like links or where we can get the grants. The second question is okay. For example, if one is interested to submit a script to a production house, a bigger production house, as an independent filmmaker, do they like have a criteria where where you can present, like if there's a way where you will present your project or your idea? Is there like a criteria or something?
I think that in Nigeria here, most of the big production companies would not want to take your script from you. The moment you send a script to them, they'll write you an email back and telling you that they have not received anything from you because of copyright issues, because they don't want you to feel like, okay, because there are lots of copyright issues that are coming up these days. So they might take your idea and make another film out of it. So big production companies don't want to get into that kind of trouble with you, except if they demand for your script or you meet somebody. But there are smaller companies that you can actually share your script. They have their standard, they have their specifications of how the script should look like, the kind of stories they do and all that. And I think that the biggest thing about it is about networking. You're in Kenya, you can network with people in Nigeria, you just have conversations and get to meet people in Nigeria. You can share ideas with it before something might come out of it, right? But I'm scared for you to just send a script without them demanding for it, right? Because there are copyright issues that you might get into, and it might not be very good. People might steal your idea and make their film with it, and they would say that they didn't ask for a script from you. You send it to them, and you might see the script is actually your story, but it's there. So big companies are very careful. Ebony Life is very careful. Film One is very careful. In Blood is very careful. But through networking, you might know somebody who works there who can take your script and say he wants to do something with it, right? And if you want to send anything, I think you should send your pitch deck rather than the whole script. Your story.
Yeah. I was actually talking about the pitching.
Pitch deck. Yeah. So you should get that.
So
sorry. You can send decks.
Okay. So that's what I was asking. Like, is there like a way of pitching? I came across like Showmax. I don't know if you are aware of
Showmax.
Yeah. So Showmax, I came across their website where they had like their own pitching criteria.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to know, if their criteria is usually the same with other production, or
No.
each production will have.
They are not the same actually. I think there are specific every company has a specification. Even Netflix would give you specification on how your deck should be like.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. If there are no questions, I think we're done. All right, I think we're done. There are no questions. Thank you for coming. I don't know.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Okay, you want to say something?
It's actually a question. Sorry, I'm outside. I'm trying to.
Okay.
So, quickly, just thank you so much for.
Welcome.
So, my question is this: as an independent,
Yeah.
you want to do your first project.
Mm-hmm.
You start want to do your first project, and you've done with people before, but now this is yours, and you don't really have all the whole funds, right?
Yeah.
Then you have this story. What basically you are, as a producer, maybe you can direct and shoot, but you have a story. You are not a script writer. Do you understand? And you need someone that will help you prepare the pitch deck.
Yeah.
You understand? So you can be able to go raise funds for your film. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So how do you go about it? Whereby you've now met someone and the person is not telling you to pay so amount of money, and you don't know how to convince him.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? I'm trying to ask. My question is this: is there a film term? You understand? You can use to convince a screenwriter or someone that will help you and tell him, okay, look at this is a potential project I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you do this, if anything comes up, I will give you this. But now I don't have any funds to give you.
Yeah.
That is one.
Yeah.
Then, secondly, is this. They will always say you can do a short thriller.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? To be able to tell them, look at what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But whereby your film, you don't want to make it. You don't want to make it a short thriller.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's a feature, because maybe it's a film that is going to be like a blockbuster, and if you start making that short thriller, it's going to still cost you money for you to be able to feature exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
Understand? For you to be able to pass convey your message.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So what do you do in that situation? Because I feel what I'm asking is peculiar to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. So independent filmmakers find themselves in that kind of situation. You have a story, you don't know how to write it. You're looking for a writer, and the writer is telling you that he needs you to pay certain amount of money for him to write it for you. And you don't have that kind of money. You just want to collaborate. It's either you go into a deal with him and tell him, if this film is made, these are your back end earnings. Directors do that as well, right? They make a film and say, okay, pay me so amount, but after, when the film is successful and it makes so amount of money, this is the percentage you pay me, right? Even in Nigeria, we do that, right? It's very dicey. I'm not very good at writing script as well, but I have a lot of people. It's about getting yourself around filmmakers. If you are around filmmakers and you share ideas, there are people who you definitely have a friend who is a screenwriter. Like I said, always network with people. If you are in the space and you meet, if I go to AAIFF, I want to meet one person and we talk about films. We share contacts. We keep in touch with each other, sharing ideas regarding film and stories and all of that stuff. When you do that, there's a potential where you find somebody who can actually write it, or you know somebody who can write it. There are people who are just hungry; they just want to write, right? They just want to have the experience of writing this feature film. They can just want to write, right? So you go into collaboration with those people. they write the first draft, you make correction, you read it, you say, no, I want this one to be like this one to be like this. It's slowly, right? Even script writers don't write script in a day. It takes them a lot of time. In fact, you write a script today. Tomorrow, when you read it, you'll be like, man, what the hell did I just write? This is not good. You cancel it and write it again. So just try as much as possible to collaborate, to find somebody who can actually be who can be at that might be very difficult for you, because except if you go to your second question, we're talking about shooting maybe a teaser or something to give to production company to see how. I think that in Hollywood is very big. People, most especially experimental film, they will shoot a very small part of the film, right, and use it as a bait or as something that they would actually pitch themselves, right, for the production company to say, okay, I have this idea and this is how I want to make it, right? Some would get money from themselves, or they would find money somewhere and just shoot it in order to give it to somebody, right? But if you're working in a film space like me, you can definitely find someone who would want to just shoot a film for you for free. Like students who come to Even Life Creative Academy, we always encourage them to just find people and network with them. When you leave the school, what you do next is you begin to collaborate with each other. So once they find a camera, they want to shoot something. Once they find something, they just want to do something in order to keep themselves working. If not, your dream of shooting that film might not just work. So you have to be stubborn. I can use the word stubborn as an independent filmmaker. You have to put yourself out there and be stubborn to say, okay, I have to make this film with no matter how small I want, right? Okay, so I don't know if I've answered your question, all right? But it's very difficult for you without money and without collaboration. If you don't have money, collaborate with people. That is the only thing. If you don't have money, collaborate. If you don't have money, network. The chance will come, right? So don't just say okay and say I don't know anybody, right? Try to meet people who are in film and network with them. You definitely get an opportunity to meet somebody who can write your script and somebody who can enable you shoot a teaser for your future film. Right? Okay, so somebody
thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Oluwafemi is asking if there's Cinema Pata Pata is taking an intent now. No, we are not taking intent now. But since I have your number, I'm definitely going to look for you if we are in need of intent. Mostly we get intents when there's a production coming. When there's a production, we get people because we always want to train people that would come and become filmmakers. So yeah, all right. Thank you very much. Yeah. Glamour Roda said, yeah, and collaborate. Very interesting. Collaborate, guys. Meet people who like films, who wants to make film, exchange contacts, network. It's very important. Collaboration is very important. All right. Oh, okay. On collaboration. Yes, asking me, do we accept it? Okay. Yeah, I think that if you have, I'm so down for collaboration. That's good. I'm from Kenya. Yeah, I know. Right? Okay. Us from Kenya. Oh, okay. I have people from Kenya here. I didn't know that they were from Kenya. Right? Yeah. I think that if we see your pitch deck and we see that is good enough to do, so Glamour and Alien, you can start. Alien, you can start your collaboration right now, please. Exchange number and start talking, right? Please collaborate. It's very important. You can start now, right? I don't know. I'll talk to the organizers of this program. we can actually start talking about collaboration and see how we can collaborate, even Kenya and whatever. Let's just start talking, right? I have a few friends from Kenya as well, so they are filmmakers and they are very good filmmakers. Right. Yeah, when we start accepting pitches, right? Oh, I have somebody from Everett is from Florida, US, and she's coming to visit Lagos and Kenya as well. Oh, great. Oh, you guys know each other already. Oh, okay, fantastic. I think that Kenya is um, one country that the film industry is really coming up. Like I do watch, I do see a lot of because of the friends I have from there who will work together. I've seen okay. Okay, I'm going to copy that website. I just copied it. I'm going to check it. All right, so yeah, I have people from Abuja as well. Oh, great. I didn't know we're all from all over the world. We are all here. Fantastic. Please, if you can get organizers of this program, please get contacts and share to people. Let's collaborate. Let's have conversations about film and see how we can collaborate henceforth. And kindly send DMs to each other and start talking. Please. All right, great.
Yeah,
All right. Will you do that? Yeah, thank you very much. Please. You can do that. You can take over from here now, I think.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nathaniel. Please, can we thank Mr. Nat? We'll still do a proper thank you, but thank you so much for this wonderful session. I learned so much. I don't know about any other person, but I did learn a lot, and I am super, super grateful. Thank you for the willingness, the humility, and no, I'm blown away literally. So I wrote a lot. I wrote out a lot, and I'm still going to refer back to my note. Thank you so much, Mr. Nathaniel. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, I'm not seeing your thank you, guys. You're supposed to thank him. Hello.
No, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it.
I'm not seeing it. Please thank Mr. Nat.
Oh, I'm seeing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Nat.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So it's a wrap for today. It's a wrap for today on Intro to Filmmaking. Well, hopefully we're going to see Mr. Nat when we are having our physical session in October. That's for the film festival. Mr. Nat, hope we'll see you.
Yeah, from Lagos.
No, it's in Lagos now. Hope we're going to see you.
Yeah. I'm going to be in Lagos, except if something changes.
No problem. I'm going to reach out to you on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Thank you so much for your patience, guys. It's a wrap. I'm very exhausted. My teammates are really not here, so we're just gonna wrap it up anyway. This is the first time I'm talking so much because they're not here. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm just gonna go now. Bye. Yeah, you can send your questions. Sure, that's why we have the community. Bye.